We will get started. I am Travis Durick. I'm a product manager here at Peplink. Thank you so much for joining. Today, I'm going to tell you about work from home solutions from Peplink, and we're going to show you 5 different things that you didn't know Peplink could do to help enhance and improve the work from home experience. So first up, we've got a new video out on our website. And this really highlights the work from home solutions and products that we offer to help address work from home needs. So I'd encourage you to go check out our YouTube channel, watch this video. I think it's a great primer for customers, especially customers who maybe aren't familiar with Peplink or just connectivity solutions in general. It's really meant to speak to anybody, a non-technical audience especially. So we're trying to really just boil it down and speak to the things that matter most to anybody trying to work from home and having trouble with it. So again, check out our YouTube channel. That video is posted up on there. But as always, Peplink's core mission is to deliver unbreakable connectivity. And we do that anytime, anywhere with a whole range of products, very low cost, affordable products that fit right into this type of solution, work from home. And we've got products moving all the way up to allow people to do all kinds of really amazing applications like autonomous driving and different types of low Earth orbit rocket launching. And so it seems kind of disjointed, but really Peplink's technology, Speed Fusion, is what powers all of these different applications. And again, we're able to scale those products and services to the customer's needs so that we're able to address their pain points at a price point that really fits for them. As always, I can talk about Peplink and how great I think it is, but really what's the most important to me and the rest of us at Peplink is what our customers think about our solutions. So we've been covered by Gartner's Magic Quadrant for 3 years now in their WAN Edge infrastructure category. It's a really prestigious honor to be covered under their research. Not everybody gets that honor, and so we're very proud of that. But again, more importantly, we're proud of what our customers say about us. And so Gartner runs a site in parallel to their Magic Quadrant report, Peer Insights, where they let end users of these products come in and leave reviews. And these are really high quality reviews. Gartner is very selective in which reviews they actually publish. They do not let somebody who has a conflict of interest, like a Peplink reseller, cannot go in there and make a review. It has to be an end user. Gartner validates that. They make sure that there aren't conflicts of interest. They make sure that the people making the reviews are users of them, people that made the decision on implementing it, or people that actually participated in the implementation. So again, these are about the highest quality reviews you can find out on the internet. And as you can see, we rank extremely well from our customers. So really, this is, I think, the best testament to what the power of Peplink really is. When we talk about work from home, there's just a lot of challenges that we've ran into. We all got kind of thrown into this, the last 9 months here, we've all been thrown into pretty much working from home exclusively. And it's really exposed a lot of challenges that maybe weren't foreseen or maybe were tolerated previously. You know, work from home isn't brand new after the pandemic. It's just a lot more prevalent. And so previously, I think the appetite and the tolerance to these problems was probably a little less urgent, but again, now that we're all remote, it's a very big deal, and it's really mission critical. It's really the core connectivity for entire enterprises right now. So security is obviously a really big concern. People want their traffic to be secured. They want to make sure that only devices that should be on these networks are on them, and they want to make sure that the traffic on them is secure. So Peplink's able to provide that security through a variety of features. Obviously, we're all working from home, so these are remote locations. We're not on the corporate network. We don't have corporate WAN infrastructure at our homes. We don't have circuits that are guaranteed. We don't have all these things that we had at the office, right? So all those things that we just did every day that worked fine, they worked fine because somebody put a lot of time and money into making sure that that stuff worked fine at the office. And again, we just don't have that luxury at our homes. And so Peplink's able to, again, deliver a scalable solution that you can throw out to all these different remote locations in a cost-effective manner to give you that office-grade internet experience. Now, of course, we've all been on these calls where somebody's voice starts breaking up, somebody's video starts getting choppy, somebody drops out of the call completely, right? Some days it's you, some days it's me. Actually, it's not pretty much never me because I've got Peplink protecting me. But again, we've seen these issues. They're not consistent, they're not always predictable, but they happen pretty frequently, right? Our home broadband connections just weren't designed for all of us to be at home all day long, all working, all doing school. There's just a lot more congestion on these residential connections now. That's really causing a lot of problems for people. And it's really, it's really your image at stake when you're on these calls and you're trying to speak authoritatively about connectivity, especially. You can't be having these drops in audio. You can't be having these challenges that, quite frankly, other people are trying to find solutions for. So we've got a few different layers that we can use to really make an elegant solution to fix a lot of these problems. We've got our Peplink routers, and again, we've got a whole lineup of these. So we've got models that fit into really aggressive price points, and we've got models that scale up as the complexity and demands for different locations might grow. Now at home, you've got some sort of home router, be it connected via Ethernet or over Wi-Fi, and then what we're going to show you is how you can incorporate an LTE connection to intelligently back up that home router and augment that and really provide that consistency that home router maybe isn't able to do on its own. Really, that's just designed to give you that unbreakable experience out to the internet for whatever application is important to you. There's a variety of technologies underlying all of this that enable that protection, that optimization, and we'll show you and talk about these a little bit more. So there's lots of different ways that you can put this together. Again, I mentioned we've got a really broad portfolio of products. And so there's different sizes of products and different scenarios where you would use these for. So on our far right, we've got our BR1 Mini. This, I think, is really the bread and butter for work from home for a lot of people. This is a compact router. It's $300. It comes with LTE built in, so you can use this BR1 Mini. You can plug it into your home router, and then it's got the built-in LTE capability, so it can use both of those connections to protect your traffic. The other cool thing is if you purchase the failover license with the BR1 Mini, you can connect it over Wi-Fi too, so you can connect to your home broadband. So maybe your office isn't close to where your home router is. That's fine. You can connect the BR1 Mini over Wi-Fi to your home connection, and again, use that cellular backup to augment that and protect that home connection anytime that starts to fall down on you. Moving to the left, we've got our Transit Duo. This is $9.99 MSRP, and it's got 2 cellular connections in it. So if you've got an executive or a location, maybe you've got a few people working out of, you can really add another layer of protection by having 2 LTE connections in there to back up that wireline connection. Anytime your wireline goes down, you're gonna be relying on that cellular connection, and I think we all probably know a single cellular connection isn't always up to the task either, right? So if your home internet goes completely dark, sometimes having one backup just isn't quite enough to really deliver that guaranteed bulletproof experience. So again, if you've got power users, executives, people that really need to be crystal clear 100% of the time, then maybe moving up to something like the Transit Duo or the next one, the UBR LTE, would be a better choice. Again, both of those have dual cellular capability in addition to connecting to your Ethernet WAN or your home Wi-Fi WAN. The UBR is a nice one because you're getting that dual radio capability at, again, a really attractive price point, $499 MSRP. So this is cheaper than a lot of single cellular backup solutions you'll find out there, but again, you get the benefit of having 2 different cellular connections, so you can, again, absolutely guarantee that even if your wired connection goes down, you're going to have a smooth experience for everybody that you interact with. And we see a lot of people moving more towards small office environments too, as the vaccines are rolling out and we're kind of getting back into the office gradually here. We're seeing more and more people scaling their offices down and moving to, again, smaller offices, maybe just get a few people in there. And so that balanced 310X is a great fit for something like that. That's more of an enterprise branch router. It's a little bit more money, but it's got a lot more capability for dealing with gigabit connections. But again, it's got that built-in LTE as well to give you that seamless SpeedFusion failover. So this isn't the end of our solution lineup here, but this is I think a focused group of 4 products that really fit in well to the work from home scenarios. Again, we've got products all up and down the scale of sophistication and price. So we've got a lot to choose from depending on what your work from home scenario may look like. So I'm going to just brief through the top 5 features. We'll introduce them to you, and then I'll actually go in and, as always, show you how these things work in practice, show you how you can use them to optimize your connectivity. So first up, zero-touch provisioning. Many of you on the line may be just individuals trying to improve your connectivity as you work from home. But I think a lot of the folks on the line here are working for a company that they're trying to really solve these problems for their entire company, their entire workforce that's home-based right now. And so zero-touch provisioning really comes in when you start to try and deploy work-from-home solutions at scale. You don't want to have to hand configure a whole bunch of MiFi devices, right? You want to be able to get 100, get 1,000, get 5,000 of these devices, ship them out in mass, and have them all come online and take the appropriate configurations as defined by you, the administrator. So we'll show you how that works with Peplink solutions. Next up, SpeedFusion Cloud with hot failover and WAN smoothing. This is really the big differentiator with Peplink. This is what delivers that unbreakable experience. And so we'll give you a demo of that, show you how that works, so that you can see what the end user's experience is when you deploy these solutions and you run into problems. Next up, SpeedFusion Cloud Application Optimization. This is a brand new feature in our firmware 8.1.1 where we can intelligently carve out individual applications so that those are protected by SpeedFusion Cloud and your LTE connectivity. And bulk internet traffic that really isn't mission critical, that can just do your normal failover thing. So you can save data, you can avoid backing up non-critical applications, and it's really easy to implement. We'll show you how this works. Of course, LTE costs money, right? Deploying these solutions costs a lot of money, both upfront, and it costs money ongoing, right? You have to pay for the data that you're using on these LTE connections. And so we'll show you some tools that Peplink's developed to help you save money, and again, help you make sure that you're really protecting the things that matter and not spending money on protecting other applications that aren't business critical. And last but not least, you have to live with the solution that you deploy. So we're going to show you some reporting and troubleshooting tools that help make the administrator's jobs a lot easier day to day as you, again, live with this work from home solution that you deployed. So I'm going to pause for just a second here. I will get my demo screens pulled up and we'll show you how these top 5 features work. Okay, folks, you should be seeing my screen again with our InControl 2 management system dashboard. So this is InControl 2. This is our cloud management system that manages all of our different products. So you can manage any mix of products that you've got deployed out there. In this case, we've got 3 different routers. We've got a BR1 Mini, we've got a Balance 20X, and then we've got another BR1 Mini that just went offline about an hour ago. So I've got one here with me, and then my made-up coworker Amy has a Balance 20X as well. So you can get a really quick view of all your devices, where they're at, what their status is. But again, zero-touch provisioning is a really big deal. As you deploy these at scale, you need these tools to really make that manageable and really make it easy to deploy. So things like configuring your SSID. This is something you can do across any mix of models. So again, I've got a Balance 20X, I've got a BR1 Mini. I can create an SSID profile and I can deploy that out to any devices that I want. So here I've got a work from home SSID. I'm using one of our cool features here. So you can actually uniquely provision these SSIDs. So in this case, those X's don't do the job. We need the hash. So if we put 4 hashes in there, it's going to randomize that SSID to give you the last 4 characters of the device's serial number. So you can create unique networks for each home user so that they're all not the same. But you can also use more enterprise grade security as well, depending on how critical and what these work from home kits might be connected to, whether it's just protecting internet traffic or if you've got it, directly connected to a corporate VPN. Maybe you want to go for like a WPA enterprise type solution. But regardless, you can deploy this centrally to all your devices. You can choose a tag to deploy those. So if we want to choose the Wi-Fi tag, only devices with the Wi-Fi tag will then take this profile. So you've got a lot of control over which devices get which SSID profiles. So you can manage multiple profiles all from this single pane of glass. And then again, use things like tags to choose which devices take which profiles. You can add multiple SSIDs for single devices. Again, you've got tons of flexibility in how you deploy and manage these Wi-Fi networks. You can also do captive portals and things like that. Again, this is all centrally provisioned, so I'm not programming one device at a time. I'm doing this at scale to all my devices, regardless of which make or model they are. You can also do this same style of centralized provisioning for things like firewall rules. So you can make sure that all your devices deployed out there for work from home have a common set of firewall rules. Again, you can use tags and things like that to customize rules on different devices. So again, you've got this centralized tool where you can have as many profiles as you need, and again, provision those to the devices exactly as you want. One rule that I really like to add, especially, work from home users, you don't know what they might click on. Lots of users may get a strange email or some sort of phishing attempt or some sort of malicious ad on a site. You can do country and region blocking with our in-control firewall rules. So if I choose destination region, I can choose whichever countries I want to allow. Albania is not one that I want to allow right now, but United States is. So I can allow that. And then maybe my default rule is deny. So then only websites that are hosted in the US are going to be accessible to my work from home users through this device, right? It's just a simple layer of protection that you can deploy at scale to all your users to make sure that, they're not clicking on things that might get them into trouble unintentionally. There's lots of other tools for mass provisioning. We've got our bulk configurator, which you can use to deploy an entire router config to whichever devices you like. So you can go in and program any number of settings in the routers and then mass provision those settings with the bulk configurator. You can also do unique subnets on all of your devices. So if you've got 1,000 devices and they all need to be connected to a routable VPN, you can easily do that. And again, just use a simple spreadsheet to map out which devices need which subnets. And as they phone home and come online, they'll take those parameters and reconfigure themselves. So again, really easy to scale that stuff, even for fairly complex scenarios. One other centralized tool that I really like to show is the ability to manage the admin interface of these routers. So in this case, I want to be as secure as possible. I want to make sure that every device that I deploy out there has a unique random password so that one person with the keys to a device isn't able to get into any other device. So all I have to do is enable the device web admin management here with this checkbox. And then I've chosen assign a random password for each device. Once you've done that, there's a few different ways that you can find out the password for that device. You can just click on download here and it's going to give you a CSV file with all of those. You can also go to the device level. I'll show you in the web UI here where you can click to reveal what the password for any given device is. And last, you can use our APIs in control to expose pretty much any feature you see in the GUI via API. So you can grab these passwords programmatically and manage them that way as well if you need to. But again, I've chosen the random password for each device. So if I go back to the dashboard and take a look at my device, we can see it's online here. If we click show all, username and password, just click to reveal. Now you guys know the password to my BR1 Mini here. But again, very easy for an administrator to gain access to that, to see the information they need, even though that we've done something pretty secure and randomized the passwords for all of our devices. So again, there's just tons of tools here for centralized management so that you can roll out work from home at scale and do it in a way without any compromises. So the next thing that I will show you is our SpeedFusion Cloud hot failover and WAN smoothing. So we're going to log into this BR1 Mini. You can see we've got an Ethernet WAN. This is connected to the home network here. And then we've got a cellular connection. So we've got two physical connections here ready to back each other up. And then we've got our SpeedFusion Cloud set up. We've got hot failover and WAN smoothing set up. So I'll show you how we set this up first. If you click on the SpeedFusion Cloud tab, starting out, you're going to choose your cloud location. I've chosen Chicago in my case because that's closest to me. You can just choose auto as well. There's tons of locations you can choose from, but automatic is going to find, should do a pretty good job of finding the closest one. But again, if you want to choose a different one, you can choose up to 3 manually on your own. So here I've got 2 profiles set up. By default, there's 1 profile, and this is what I've labeled as hot failover. So I've got my Ethernet WAN, my home connection as priority 1, and I've got the cellular as priority 2. So this is just a simple backup strategy. Now the cool thing is this is seamless. So if that primary WAN goes down, it's going to give me a session persistent handoff to that cellular connection. So this is really unique. This is kind of a technical topic here, but this is a really big difference between other failover solutions. With other failover solutions, if you're on a Teams call, if you're hosting a webinar like I am right now, and your primary link fails, your whole call gets torn down. Your whole webinar, you have to log back in, right? That's how other failover solutions work. But Peplink's hot failover solution, you're going to lose a little bit of audio. You might go dark for 5 seconds as it switches over, or 5 seconds or less. But then you're going to pick right back up. You don't have to log back in. You don't have to do anything. You're right back in action as soon as that handoff takes place. For a lot of people, that's good enough. But for some people, that's just not good enough still. They want absolutely no drops. So they want WAN smoothing. In WAN smoothing, you're going to use both links at the same time to more intelligently back each other up so that you can do failover and backup at an absolutely seamless level, so that if that primary link goes down, you don't have any drops. You don't have any change in the video or audio quality. Now, in both of these profiles, we've also got error correction turned on. So error correction, this helps back us up when we get into those single link situations. So if you're on your home broadband and you're getting a little bit of packet loss here and there, error correction is going to help smooth that out without needing to fail over. So you can optimize even a single connection. Even if you don't have LTE deployed, you can use SpeedFusion Cloud and error correction to improve the experience of, again, even that single home broadband connection. Now in the WAN smoothing scenario, if you do fail over to cellular, if that primary link goes down, I guess in both scenarios really, that error correction is going to help you on the LTE side as well. Again, LTE connections are generally less reliable or less stable than a home broadband connection. So you're still susceptible to interruptions if your primary link goes completely down. So again, that error correction is there to back you up even on that single connection and help you avoid packet loss and those kinds of things. Now I am using this BR1 Mini right now. And so you can see here, this is my call. This is the webinar that we're hosting right now. It's going through this connection. And I've got it mapped out to the WAN smoothing profile. So right now I will unplug my Ethernet WAN, and I've just failed over seamlessly to the cellular connection. And you'll start to see that that Ethernet connection is not being used. And then we can plug it right back in. And we're back up and running. We really weren't ever down. So again, you can see a little gap here. The Ethernet side went down. The cellular side kept going. Now, as I've plugged that back in, you'll start to see that Ethernet link get healthy again. And it'll start using both at the same time again, just to make sure we've got the ultimate protection. So again, you can see we've got the two connections here. We've got the Ethernet WAN. Latency is a little better. Both are performing well, though, no packet loss. And again, we can just unplug that link. We'll see that go red on us in just a few seconds here. Realistically, I've already unplugged it, but you can see it's stopped sending traffic there. It's detected it's not available, but again, we didn't have any interruptions during that whole process. So the next topic that we'll talk about is how do we actually select what's important to us? There's overhead involved and there's cellular data involved in doing these failover strategies, right? We're using a metered connection to back ourselves up. So we want to make sure that we're only backing up the traffic that's mission critical, right? We don't want to back up my YouTube videos. We don't want to back up my Facebook activity, but we do want to back up Zoom. We do want to back up Teams. So under the SpeedFusion Cloud menu, again, this is a new feature in 8.1.1. We've got several applications that you can just pick and carve out automatically. So under my WAN smoothing profile, I've selected Google Workspace, Office 365, and Zoom. And then I've got some other applications here that may not need that absolute bulletproof protection, but I still want that seamless handoff. So all you have to do is select the applications and tell it which profile that you've set up to send it to. And that's really it. So again, this helps protect and make sure that you're not using that cellular connection for non-important applications. Some other money-saving features, just on the cellular side, we want to make sure no single user really blows through a data bucket that's being shared with other users. So I can set up bandwidth allowance monitor here. So I can manage this in a way that's going to make sure that, again, no user goes over their limit. Maybe it's 5 gigs a month, maybe it's 1 gig a month, whatever your threshold is, you don't want a single user crossing. You can set this up. You can get email notifications before that happens. And then you can choose what happens when you do cross that threshold. Do you leave it up? Do you shut it down? Maybe you leave it up and you call the user, right? You get a notification, you call them, you figure out what's going on. Either way, you've got control over that experience and what happens then. On the in control side, I'll show you the alerts for that. So if we go to notifications here, I can set this bandwidth notification or this bandwidth usage notification, and I can choose who that goes to. Maybe it goes to my group administrators in control, or maybe it goes to a custom list of people. Either way, you can choose that. So you can alert on something like that where, a user is actually chewing up all that bandwidth so that you can react appropriately. Another tool we've got is managing data at a pool level. So if we go to reports and SIM card reports, we can build a pool of SIM cards, and it's automatically going to pool up the SIMs from each carrier. So if we've got AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon SIMs, you can see it's dropping those SIMs automatically into each carrier's bucket. And then we can just set up, each carrier, we might have a different data plan on. So maybe with Verizon, we've got 100 gigs that's shared across these SIMs. Cool. I can tell it the start date. I've already pre-configured this. So when you set it up, you can choose that start date. But regardless, you can choose, again, what happens when you hit those thresholds where you start alerting. So maybe I want to know when I've had half my bucket exhausted, 75%, and then right before I actually do it. So you can choose which threshold you're getting notified at. Again, you're choosing who's getting notified. You've got some customization on the message that actually gets sent out. And then you can choose, do I shut these SIMs down at that point? Or do I leave them going? So again, you've got tools at the individual level, and you've got tools rolled up at your whole deployment level that you can use to manage your costs and make sure that you're not blowing through data buckets and paying really crazy overages. Last but not least, like I said, if you deploy a work from home solution, you've got to live with it day to day. You've got to be able to manage it. You've got to be able to use it effectively so that you can get the most out of it. And ultimately, so you can fix your end users' problems. So any work from home solution, you're going to run into challenges at some person's house. Maybe they've just got really poor internet quality on their fixed line connection. So maybe they're still reporting a lot of issues, even though you've put a basic setup out there. So to dig a little deeper, you can come into the WAN quality reports. And if we choose that Ethernet WAN, we can see I unplugged and plugged that WAN in just a couple times there a few minutes ago. So that was me breaking stuff on purpose. But again, it gives you a nice timestamp, a nice flag to show you where those events happen. But then you've got just latency monitoring overall. So you can see, maybe the connection's not going down, but here we had a 600 millisecond spike. That's obviously going to cause some problems on real-time applications. So you can go back in time and correlate these problem reports from your users and really just see what's going on these individual connections. Now you can do the same on the cellular side. Cellular side, you get a little more details on signal strength and those kinds of things. So again, you can explain behavior that happens after the fact. So you've got the ability to kind of rewind time and see what was going on each side of the link, on each link at any given time. Another one that I like, and probably is a better place to start than the WAN quality reports, is just this connection up-down history. So you can see every individual time that a WAN went up or down. And again, you can choose which WAN you want to look at. So again, I've done a lot of failover testing this morning to prep for this webinar. So you can see I've unplugged and plugged back in a few seconds here and there. And then we can go back in time, back in December even, you can see we had some issues on the 16th there. So if we wanted to dig deeper into that, again, you can go back to that WAN quality report, choose the date. December 16th, we saw some outages on that Ethernet WAN. And there they are. Again, we can see there's a bunch of latency spikes and we had some outages, but then things kind of mostly leveled off after that. But again, you've got that ability to go back and rewind time to really explain any issue that might come up. Now, in a more real-time manner, you've got lots of tools to use as well. So you can remotely run pings, trace routes, reboot devices, factory default them, whatever you need to do, you can do that really quickly and easily remotely, but from the perspective of that far edge device. So we can just ping Google, see what happens. Cool, I'm getting great responses, really low latency. That looks like that's working well. We can try the same thing over cellular. Latency is a little bit higher, but looks to be very consistent. So, we can very quickly validate, differentiate between maybe somebody's PC issue and overall connectivity issues that really no computer is going to be able to fix. So again, you've got these tools right at your fingertips to dig into that. You can also dig into real-time clients connected. You can see we've got a MacBook Pro and a Yealink phone. So we've got a VoIP phone and a computer, pretty typical equipment. But this way you can see if maybe their kid's iPad is on here or some other devices you're really not wanting on this connection. So you can quickly see who's on there, how much traffic they're pushing, again, without even logging into that router. You can also get lots of reports on bandwidth usage. So you can see over time, again, if somebody's blown through their data cap, You can go back in time, see when they were pushing it. Maybe it's out of hours, maybe it's time, but then again, you can drill down to the client level and see which device is actually using it. So again, you can better validate if it's appropriate use or if it's maybe something that shouldn't be being used on a work from home solution. I'll show you one more tool that's new to firmware 8.1.1. If we go to Amy's router here, she's got a Balance 20X, and this is a great device. We'll show you in just a little bit here. This is really a nice work from home device as well. It's got built-in AC Wave 2 Wi-Fi, and new with firmware 8.1.1, we've got air monitor mode. So we can actually troubleshoot the air quality for her Wi-Fi connection at home as well. Maybe she's connected over Wi-Fi on her laptop and you ran the remote ping and trace route tools and everything looked good there, but she's still reporting that things are slow, things are breaking up. So then we can dig a layer deeper and actually troubleshoot the air quality for her Wi-Fi connection. So if we go to Air Probe Reports and go to Air Monitor, we can retrieve whatever time or date we're interested in. In this case, we can see utilization is really clean across 5 gigahertz. So again, you've got these historical tools to trace back problems and really pinpoint exactly what's going wrong so that you can fix those issues quickly and find ways to prevent them from happening to that user in the future. One last tool that I'll show you is another good real-time troubleshooting tool. If we go to the status menu inside of the router and go to SpeedFusion, we saw this earlier. These are the two SpeedFusion profiles, but there's a graph here. I showed you that graph. That's this view. It's a fairly technical view, but really, really explanatory for an administrator to get in there and look at. But we can also just test the capacity. So if we want to just run a quick speed test, in this case, it's testing my hot failover. So it's really only going to test the throughput on the primary connection, but if that's stable, that's really what we're concerned about. So I can just run a quick test. And I shut that down a little bit early, but you can see we're pushing a pretty consistent 15 megs of upload. So we're getting great speeds on the upload. So again, you can go out there and validate it as you've got problem reports from this user or that user. You've got tons of tools to really help you dive into where the problems are and where they aren't. Okay, so that's all for the demo. I'm going to go back to my slides here and just show you a few more products. Okay, if I'm using Zoom right, you should be seeing my work from home portfolio slide again. So like we talked about right now, I'm using the BR1 Mini. My phone and PC are plugged into this device, and then I've got the failover license on it, so I'm using the Ethernet WAN. I've got my PC daisy chained through the phone because there is only one LAN port when you're using that WAN port, but nonetheless, you could use Wi-Fi as well. So again, the BR1 Mini is $299. This is a really cost-effective solution, and these things are just about bulletproof. I mean, we deploy these things in all kinds of crazy scenarios for IoT networks, but you know, in a home scenario, it's absolutely going to be a reliable device there as well. It's got 2 SIM slots, so you can put 2 different carriers in there if you want. You never know which carrier is going to be best at any user's house, right? You can look at maps. They're all red, they're all blue, they're all magenta, right? They cover everywhere based on the map, but you know, everybody's home's made out of different things. They've got different situations, so you just can't really predict very accurately which carrier is going to be best. So you can deploy these with 2 SIM cards in them and let the device pick the best solution at each location. Here's a couple pictures of BR1 Minis deployed. Now again, I talked about the Balance 20X. This is really a step up from the BR1 Mini, but not a big jump in price. This is $399. And it's really more of a home router form factor. So it's a nice plastic enclosure. It's got, again, 11 AC Wave 2 Wi-Fi, so really fast, good range Wi-Fi. And then it's got a built-in cellular connection as well. So you can plug this into your home broadband. And in a lot of cases, this would probably be a replacement for your home router. Again, this is a little bit more capable device. It can do 900 megs of throughput. So if you've got gigabit home broadband, cool, you can plug that in. You're not going to bottleneck it at all. Again, it's got a built-in radio right out of the box. And then on top of that, there's a second slot where you can add another radio. So if you need to go to, again, maybe you've got a more power user or a more user that's just involved in more critical applications, you can give them 2 cellular radios instead of just the one to really guarantee, even if their home broadband goes completely down, you've got bulletproof connectivity for them regardless of what happens on that wired line. Stepping up now, this is our Balance 310X. This is more, again, of a small office router, or maybe you've got some really critical users that really need the speed at their location. This can do 2.5 gigs of throughput. It's got a modular radio, so it comes with a cellular radio built in, but then it's got an upgradable tray, so you can upgrade that as technology progresses. So you can upgrade this device to a 5G radio. We've got 5G radios ready to go. We're just waiting on certifications there. So if you buy this router today, you will definitely be able to upgrade to 5G in not too long. Here's some examples of people who have rolled out the Balance 310X. Again, we talked about dual cellular capabilities. Again, that's extending that backup capability so you're not even relying on a single LTE connection if your wire line goes down. So the Transit Duo is available with a few different modem configurations. I think it starts at like $799 to $999, depending on the category of modem you get in them. But again, this is a all-in-one type box that's got 11 AC Wi-Fi on it. You can power it from a wall jack. You can power it from a USB power bank. And you can seamlessly switch between those power inputs. So you can actually give it a battery backup. So you've got just one more layer of defense against problems you might have at home. Again, when you're doing webinars and things like that from your home, you need to make sure that you're accounting for any problem that could come up in the middle of that event. So when communication is absolutely critical, these are great ways to kind of eliminate your most likely problems. Again, this device gets deployed in all kinds of mobile scenarios, but also in just fixed locations, home locations, and sometimes both, right? Sometimes people just bring this device with them. When they're at home, they plug it in on their desk, and when they go out, they put it in their backpack, and they've got the same connectivity experience no matter where they go. We've also again got the UBR LTE we showed you earlier. This is a similar concept to that Transit Duo. It's a little bit larger device. It's got more ports on it, but again, you've got that same multi-cellular backup and that single wireline connection as well. So you've got 3 possible connections that you can use in conjunction with SpeedFusion Cloud to protect your traffic with this device. And again, this is really affordable. This is $499. So $499, you've got 2 cellular radios and your Ethernet connection and Wi-Fi all ready to go. Again, here's a picture of that UBR LTE in a real world situation. So that covers everything we've got to show you today, but check out our Peplink webpage case study section. We've got lots of work from home solutions on there. Again, we've got our work from home video that you can use to show customers, again, less technical users, how the Peplink solution can improve their work from home experience. So lots of great resources out there from our marketing content team. We've also put together some battle cards that you can use to send out with your salespeople. So when they get into these work from home discussions with different customers, they've got lots of information at their fingertips that they can quickly reference and relay that information to the customer depending on what's of interest to them. And we already did the demo, so we'll open this up for questions. I see there's been a few trickling in through the course of the webinar. I'll just review these quick and start answering as many as I can here. So I see one question. When would I use the BR1 Mini versus a Balance 20X or a Balance 2030? It really comes down to what features you care about for that user. So the Balance 20X has a lot better wired throughput. It has a lot better Wi-Fi connectivity on it. You know, so if you're trying to provide kind of an all-in-one solution, that Balance 20X is probably a better fit. It's got more Ethernet ports for phones and things like that. If you've got just more devices out there that as a part of your work from home solution, maybe that's a better fit. If you're just trying to deploy a single device that can protect maybe just, again, like my scenario here, I've got a laptop and a phone, cool, the BR1 Mini is a great fit. The BR1 Mini doesn't have quite as much speed, but it can still do 100 megs, right? I can do everything that I need to do to host a webinar, have calls, do my work all day long. That's plenty of speed. And again, it's really not about the speed, it's about that consistency and quality. So the BR1 Mini is able to provide all that protection and great user experience still, even though it's not maybe quite as fast as that Balance 20X. So there's just a cost and feature trade-off there between those. So it's really just a matter of lining up whatever your priorities are. You see a question about the region blocking for websites hosted in different cloud platforms. We're using GeoIP to do that. So, you know, if the websites are hosted in a local region that you've selected, great, it's going to work well. If it's a geodiverse site that's maybe spread out across lots of countries, I think it's very, very likely that you're still going to hit the local one in country, but maybe there's something to sort out there. But nonetheless, we're using GeoIP to drive what countries are allowable and what aren't. So it really comes down to where those applications are being hosted. But again, those are more site-specific things that you can kind of sort through, but I don't expect you to have a lot of problems on that. The countries should map out pretty accurately without any real work required. Another question on the Max Transit Duo, can you set priorities to different cellular SIMs? Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. I should have touched on that actually. So yeah, if you've got a dual cellular device, you know, maybe you've got two different LTE providers and one of them is a lot more expensive than the other. Maybe you just want to make sure that you're using your cheapest data first instead of using it all at the same time. So you can definitely set different priorities in those failover schemes. So you could fail over from your wired to provider A. And then if provider A on the LTE side is still having problems, then you can fail over to provider B. So you've got more flexibility in how you use those connections when you've got multiple radios. So yes, that's definitely possible. Another question I think that's really good here is, will WAN smoothing always use the secondary LTE? So I may incur higher LTE usage costs. So it just depends on which applications you choose to protect. By default, when you've got two connections in there, you're not going to use that LTE connection until you start steering traffic over to that, or you put it in the same priority. So you've got control over that. And then you can use both those simple tools in the SpeedFusion Cloud menu that I showed you to carve out those applications you do want to protect. And then you can get more granular if you're trying to get more specific using our outbound policy manager. So I didn't show you that today, but anybody who's deployed Peplink over any amount of time has seen that outbound policy manager. So it's really nice because you can say, like, again, your default rule might not include that cellular connection. So that would mean any traffic that you don't specifically tell to use that LTE won't. It can't. So that's how you protect your Apple TV, your Google Home, and those kinds of things from chewing up cellular bandwidth. Again, you just create some simple policies that prevent that from ever happening, and then you do protect the applications that you care about. Another question here is about the air monitor function that I showed you. So that's monitoring the Wi-Fi spectrum as a remote troubleshooting tool that will interrupt the user's Wi-Fi connection temporarily. So it just depends on, how prevalent that issue is for that user. But again, it's a great tool that you can turn on remotely without sending anybody out there to get a quick sample, and then you can shut it off, get their Wi-Fi service back up and running. Oftentimes they might just have a non-Wi-Fi device that's kind of interfering with their spectrum, or they're in a really busy neighborhood. In any case, you can use that to quickly diagnose it and then get their Wi-Fi service back up and running. Another question, does the SpeedFusion preset for Office 365 cover Teams? Yes, I did that this morning. It absolutely does cover Teams. And then you can get more granular actually within that. So you can carve out Office 365, which would include all those different applications. And then we've got on our outbound policy manager, you could differentiate between like OneDrive and Teams calls or something like that. So you've got another layer of application identification that you can actually implement to get really granular on which services within that larger product suite are important to you. So again, you could maybe do hot failover on your OneDrive stuff, but do WAN smoothing for your Teams call. Okay, folks, I think we're about wrapped up here. I'll give you the last 6 minutes back to you. Thanks so much for joining. Take care, folks.